controversial online post destroyed my reputation. The day I realized my life was ruined was the day I saw my own face on the evening news. It wasn't a mugshot, I hadn't been arrested, but it didn't matter, because the reporter was using my photo, my full name, and words I never even said to paint me as the villain of a story that was spreading faster than I could breathe. I was sitting on my couch, still in my work clothes, holding my phone in one hand, scrolling endlessly through notifications that just wouldn't stop. My phone had buzzed so much in the last 48 hours that it actually overheated and died once. And now, as the reporter's voice carried through the TV speakers, I felt my stomach collapse in on itself. They weren't talking about what I meant. They weren't even talking about the original post anymore. The story had taken on a life of its own. People were calling me things I had never been in my life. Racist, violent, dangerous. Words so heavy they wrapped around me like chains. And then the reporter said the words that made my blood run cold. Sources have confirmed the individual has been placed on leave from their job, and several online groups are calling for further consequences, including legal action. Legal action. My hand went numb and my phone clattered to the floor. How could this be happening over one stupid post? Before I could even process it, my phone lit up again, buzzing across the hard one. A new notification. A DM from someone I didn't know. It said only 3 words. We found you. My throat closed. I stared at the screen frozen, my heart thudding against my ribs so loud it felt like the neighbors could hear it. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just online anymore. This was real. This was coming to my front door. But let me back up, because I need you to understand how something so small spiraled so far out of control. I wasn't trying to cause drama. I wasn't trying to start a fight. Honestly, I wasn't even trying to be funny. It was late. Well, past midnight, and I was scrolling on my phone when I saw a thread about a news story in my city. It was one of those heated comment chains where people argue for hours, everyone repeating the same points over and over. I usually keep scrolling, but that night I didn't. That night, I let myself get pulled in. And like an idiot, I typed out a reply. It wasn't long. Just one line. A sentence that felt like a sharp opinion at the time. Something I thought might get a couple likes. Maybe a this from someone who agreed. Instead, it got twisted. At first, I thought nothing of it. I woke up the next morning, got ready for work, and only checked my phone once while waiting for the bus. There were maybe a dozen replies. Some were angry, some were sarcastic. Nothing new. I've seen worse on the internet. But then lunch break rolled around, and when I opened my phone again, it was like I had stepped into a nightmare. Hundreds of comments. My post screenshotted, my words plastered across platforms I didn't even use. People tagging me, calling me names I had never even imagined seeing next to my face. The first time I saw someone call me a disgrace, I laughed nervously. Surely this was going to calm down. Surely they'd find someone else to roast by tomorrow. But it didn't calm down. It exploded. By the time I got home that evening, I couldn't open my phone without seeing myself dragged into some new thread, some new meme, some new accusation. And then came the first real gut punch. An email from my boss. Short, cold, asking me to come in for a conversation first thing in the morning. I barely slept that night. My brain spun through every possible scenario. Maybe he'd understand. Maybe I could explain. Maybe he wouldn't even care. But when I walked into his office the next morning, his face told me everything. He didn't ask my side. He didn't even let me finish my first sentence before cutting me off. You've made this company look bad. We can't have your name attached to us right now. Right now. As if there would ever be a time where the internet suddenly forgave me and forgot me. I walked out of that office without a job, without a paycheck, without a plan. And that was just day 2. By day 3, it felt like the whole world hated me. Friends stopped answering my texts. My group chat went silent. Even people I thought would defend me were suddenly quiet. Or worse, they joined in the pylon. I kept telling myself, it's not real. It's just online. But then I'd see my photo again, attached to some thread with thousands of comments, people tearing apart my life like I was nothing more than a character in their story. It stopped being just online. The moment my parents called me, their voices shaking. Why are people calling the house? What's going on? I couldn't even answer. And then came that DM. 3 words. We found you. That was the moment the bottom fell out, because if they knew where I lived, if strangers from the internet had my address, then this wasn't just about my reputation anymore. This was about survival. And I had no idea what was coming next. The first knock on my door nearly stopped my heart. It was evening. The sun had just dipped behind the buildings outside, painting my street in shadows. I was sitting in the dark, too scared to turn on the lights, scrolling through endless notifications on my dying phone. Then, 3 sharp knocks. I froze. Every horror scenario I had ever seen on the internet flashed through my head. Swatting, stalkers, strangers showing up to teach someone a lesson. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. Another knock. Louder this time. Hey, you in there? A man's voice. Too casual, too confident. I pressed myself against the wall, my phone slipping out of my sweaty hand. I prayed he would just go away. After what felt like forever, the sound of footsteps retreated, a car door slammed, and engine started. I should have felt relief, but instead, my skin prickled with a deeper fear, because when I checked my phone again, I saw a new message in my DMs. A photo. Of my front door. And the caption? Next time, answer. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound outside made me jump. Every car passing on the street felt like it was slowing down just for me. By morning, my head was pounding from exhaustion, and my phone was buzzing again. This time, it wasn't strangers. It was my best friend, Mia. "Can we talk?" her text read. For a second, my chest loosened. Finally, someone who still had my back. Someone who believed me. We met at a cafe across town, away from my neighborhood. The moment I saw her face, though I knew something was off. She didn't smile. She didn't hug me. She just slid into the booth and avoided eye contact. "Mia?" I whispered. She sighed. "Do you have any idea what this is doing to me? People keep messaging me, asking how I can be friends with you. They're calling me complicit." The word stung. Complicit? For being my friend? She finally looked up, her eyes watery but sharp. "You don't get it. This isn't just about you anymore. It's affecting everyone around you." I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her and say I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't mean it like that. They twisted everything. But the way she was looking at me, it was the same way my boss had looked at me, like I was already guilty. When she stood up and said, "I think we need space," it felt like the ground dropped out from under me. Mia walked away, and I was left staring at my cold coffee, realizing that I had just lost the one person I thought would never leave. The loneliness was crushing. Each day blurred into the next. Online, I was still trending, still the villain of a story I didn't recognize. Offline, my world was shrinking. People avoided me in public. My parents said maybe it would be better for a while if I didn't come by the house. And all the while, the threats kept coming. Some were laughable, anonymous accounts spewing the usual hate, but others were specific. Details about my street, about the cafe I had just been at, about what I was wearing yesterday. Someone was watching me, and then it happened. One night, as I finally drifted into a restless sleep, my phone lit up again. A video this time. I tapped it with shaking hands. It was footage of me, walking out of the grocery store earlier that day. My face zoomed in, my movements tracked. The caption read, "You can't hide." That's when I knew I wasn't just being canceled online. I was being hunted. And I had no idea who was behind it or how far they were willing to go. The video haunted me. I replayed it again and again, hoping I'd notice some clue, the reflection of a face in a car window, a shadow that didn't belong. But there was nothing, just me, completely unaware, being filmed like prey. That night, I made a decision. I couldn't just sit in my apartment waiting for the next knock, the next photo, the next video. I had to do something. So I packed a bag. Nothing big, just essentials, laptop, charger, wallet, a few changes of clothes. My plan was simple. Disappear for a while. Crash at a cheap motel, shut off my phone, go ghost until this whole thing blew over. But fate had other plans. As I zipped my bag shut, another notification lit up my phone. A new video. My breath caught in my throat as I opened it. It was footage of someone standing outside my apartment building, pointed directly at my window. And then, as if on cue, bang, 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 a pounding knock rattled my door. I jumped so hard I nearly dropped my phone. My chest felt like it was going to cave in. "Open up!" a man's voice boomed from the hallway. "We know you're in there." I backed away from the door, clutching my phone with white knuckles. The voice wasn't familiar, but the anger in it, the rage, it was the kind of fury that could only come from a stranger who thought they knew me from a post. My brain screamed at me to run, but there was nowhere to go. The only exit was the front door, and they were standing right there behind it. I swallowed hard and called 911 with trembling fingers. The operator's calm voice was the only thing keeping me from breaking down completely. "There are men outside my apartment," I whispered, crouching low to the floor. "They know who I am." "Stay quiet," she instructed. "Officers are on the way. Don't open the door for anyone." The pounding continued. The voice grew louder, angrier. "Come out and face us, coward. Everyone knows what you did." I pressed both hands over my mouth to stifle my sobs. Minutes felt like hours, and then silence. The knocking stopped, the voice faded. I waited frozen, every muscle in my body tense. Then the sound of footsteps, multiple pairs retreating down the hall. A door slammed somewhere. I stayed curled up on the floor until the police finally arrived. By then, the men were gone. The officers checked the hall, took my statement, and left with the usual advice. Be careful what you post online. Like that was supposed to help me now. But the worst part wasn't the knock. It wasn't the video. It was what I found the next morning. A note slipped under my door. In jagged handwriting, it read, "This isn't over." I stared at that note for so long, the words burned into my brain. This isn't over. It was the kind of threat you'd expect in a bad movie, not in your actual life. But here it was, on my floor, written in ugly, sharp letters. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound, the hum of the fridge, a car driving past outside, the creak of the old pipes made me flinch. I kept waiting for the pounding knock to come back, for the voices to scream through the door again. But the silence was worse. The next morning, I went into work, hoping routine would help, but the second I walked into the office, I knew something was wrong. People didn't look at me the same. Their whispers weren't subtle anymore. My manager called me in. "Listen," he said, not meeting my eyes. "We've had complaints. People don't feel comfortable with you here right now. Until this blows over, we're gonna have to put you on leave." I tried to argue, but his mind was made up. Just like that, my normal life crumbled a little more. I packed my desk in silence, aware of eyes watching me, people pretending not to. On my way out, I checked my phone. Another message. This time, it wasn't a video or a note. It was a screenshot. A private conversation, my private conversation, from months ago. A chat I'd had with my best friend, Sarah. It was twisted out of context, made to look like I was admitting to something horrible. And it was posted on a public forum, spreading like wildfire. My hands shook as I scrolled through the comments. People weren't just calling me names anymore. They were calling for action, demanding someone teach me a lesson. And then the bottom fell out of my stomach. Because as I read through the replies, one username kept popping up. Sarah B93. Sarah, my best friend. The messages weren't kind. They weren't neutral. They were venom, dripping with betrayal. She's not who you think she is. I always knew she was messed up. You don't know the half of it. I froze. My chest went cold. Sarah wasn't defending me. She wasn't even staying silent. She was feeding the mob. The note under my door, the screenshots, the constant stream of videos. It wasn't random. It wasn't strangers. Someone close to me was helping destroy my life. I sat in my car outside the office for nearly an hour, staring at Sarah's name on my phone screen. Do I call her? Do I confront her? Do I risk finding out she's been part of this from the beginning? My finger hovered over the dial button when my phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, it was a location pin. And the words, "If you want answers, come alone." I knew exactly where it was. Sarah's apartment. I sat in the car, parked 2 blocks away from Sarah's building, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. My bag was on the passenger seat, packed in case I had to run, but my body felt cemented to the seat. Every part of me screamed to drive away, to pretend I never got the message, but something stronger held me there. I needed answers. For weeks, my life had been eaten alive by shadows. The online mob, the banging at my door, the videos of me being followed, the note slipped under my door like a death sentence. It had all been faceless, nameless, like drowning in the dark. But now, finally, there was a face. Sarah's. I thought about every memory we had. The late nights cramming for exams, crying on each other's shoulders after breakups, the way she'd sworn she'd always have my back. Now, she was the reason my world was burning. I killed the engine and got out. The street was quiet, too quiet. Her building loomed above me, its brick walls catching the pale glow of the streetlight. My footsteps echoed as I climbed the stairs, every step louder than it should have been. When I reached her door, I froze. The location pin burned in my mind. Come alone. I raised my hand to knock, but the door creaked open before I touched it. Come in. Her voice was low, flat. My heart hammered as I pushed the door open. The apartment was dim, only a single lamp glowing in the corner. Sarah stood by the kitchen counter, her arms folded, eyes unreadable. For a moment, I almost convinced myself it was all a mistake, that she'd laugh, explain, say someone had hacked her account. But then I saw it. Her laptop sat open on the counter. The screen glowed with a familiar page, a thread about me, filled with lies and hate. The username at the top? Sarah BN93. I felt my throat close. It's you. She didn't flinch. You should have just let it die. My voice cracked. What did I do to you? Why are you doing this? Her eyes finally met mine, and for the first time I saw something colder than anger. Resentment. You don't even see it, do you? All those years, you were the golden one. Everyone liked you better. Every job, every relationship, you were the one people remembered. And me, I was always your sidekick, the friend in the background. She spat the word like poison. My chest burned. So you destroyed me over jealousy? She laughed, bitter and sharp. It wasn't that hard. One careless post from you, one little mistake, and the world did the rest. I didn't even have to try that hard. People want a villain. I just gave them one. I shook my head, my legs trembling. You leaked my chats. You sent people to my door. You put me in danger. Her smile was thin. Danger makes it real. Without it, the story dies. Now it's not just an online drama, it's a headline. You're a monster. And me? I get to be the survivor, the one who finally got out from under your shadow. My stomach turned. People could have killed me. Her expression didn't change. That's not my problem. The room spun. All the nights of terror, the isolation, losing my job, Mia walking away, all of it because the person I trusted most wanted me erased. Something inside me broke. You don't get to do this to me, I whispered, my voice shaking with rage. You don't get to decide who I am. Her eyes flicked past me, and my blood ran cold. Footsteps. From the back room, 2 men emerged, big, heavy, their faces hidden by caps. One of them held a phone, already recording. Sarah's smile widened. And now, here we are, the final act. The man with the phone raised it toward me. Say something, he muttered. I backed away, my mind racing. They weren't just trying to humiliate me anymore. They were staging something. Sarah tilted her head. You'll run. You'll cry. Maybe you'll fight back. Doesn't matter. Whatever happens, it'll be online by morning. You're finished. My breath came fast and shallow. The walls felt like they were closing in. This was it. The spiral had dragged me all the way down to the bottom, and I was about to be devoured. But something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to let her script my ending. Before I could think, I lunged for the lamp, yanking the cord from the wall and swinging it down. The light shattered, plunging the room into chaos. The men shouted. Sarah screamed. I bolted for the door. Hands grabbed at me, fingers clawing my jacket. I ripped free, stumbling into the hallway. My lungs burned as I sprinted down the stairs, my footsteps echoing like gunshots. Behind me, Sarah's voice rang out, shrill and furious. You can't escape. They'll always find you. I burst into the night air, gasping, the cold slicing through me. My car was across the street and I ran for it, my keys digging into my palm. But when I reached it, my heart stopped. Every window was smashed, tires slashed. The words monster were spray painted across the side in dripping red letters. And behind me, the sound of footsteps. They were coming. I had nowhere left to run. I don't remember how I got away that night. The memories blur. Running, hiding, ducking into shadows until the city swallowed me. Somehow, I made it out alive. Weeks later, I was living in a different town, under a different name. No job, no friends, just silence. For the first time in months, I thought maybe I could start again. Maybe I could claw back some kind of life. One evening, I walked into a small coffee shop. Nobody looked at me, nobody whispered. It felt safe. I ordered my drink, sat down, and pulled out my phone. I deleted every account, scrubbed myself off the internet as best I could. I hadn't touched social media since the night everything exploded. But the itch to know was still there. I opened the browser, typed my old name, and froze. The top result wasn't the old posts, the accusations, or Sarah's threads. It was a brand new page. My photo, my name, and a single chilling headline. Where is she now? The page was filled with grainy recent photos. Me at the grocery store, me outside the motel, me in the coffee shop, right now. And the last post was timestamped 1 minute ago. The caption read, "Don't worry, we're still watching."